What is up, guys? What is up? Welcome. Crypto FUD. And let's jump right into this, guys. It's been a few days trying to get back into this live streaming that we do here. Whew. Been kind of in a funk. I think it's just the market right now, right? Let's jump right into this, guys. I have some bullish stuff that we're going to go over. We're going to go over some charts. I'm not going to take up much of your time. The only thing I do ask is make sure to slap that like. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe. And let's do this. Let's jump in. So happy Tuesday, guys. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Had a great Labor Day. In the States, we obviously celebrated that. Markets were closed yesterday. Back to normal today. Bitcoin sitting at around 110,570 as of now. Nothing too crazy. We did see the markets kind of start to try to wake up this morning before the actual stock market opened up. We did run up to about 111,770 to be exact, but you can see obviously since then we have been rejected as of now. A couple things I will state is we did make that move towards the upside. Nothing too crazy, but a light little move towards the upside. Like I said, breaking that 111,700 area. Since then, we have been holding some solid levels. As of now, we are a little bit below, but we have been holding some solid levels as of today, around that 110,500 area. That is a big spot. You can see as we were moving up before yesterday or before this morning, you can see we ran up and we hit our head at this level over and over, probably about 4 or 5 times. As of now, we are trying to hold it as some support. So if we can hold this as support, obviously it's going to be great, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start coming back up to start retesting 112,000 in these next few days. So hold tight. I think this week we're going to see a nice recovery, in my opinion. We do have that stigma of how September technically is not a great month. We've covered this on this channel for the last 6 weeks. We have been talking about that, right? Everybody's talking about it now. We've been talking about it for the last 6 weeks. At least the last month, we've been talking about September and what it potentially could bring for the markets, right? Ethereum, kind of the same case. Right now, you can see Ethereum right now sitting at around 42, a little bit under 4,300. We're kind of into this channel right now where it's just, nothing too crazy as far as with Ethereum. She's holding some good levels, in my opinion, right? We haven't even come back. I don't even want to say it because I don't want it to happen, but we haven't come back to certain levels as of yet to really retest anything. And if we can hold these levels that we're at right now, at least that 4,200 area, our rebound is going to be quick and swift, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum's easily breaking all-time highs, if and when the markets really get that confirmation of some kind of a bounce, back up towards the upper side, right? Flip, what's going on, bro? Overcome. What is going on, dude? What's going on, boys? Yeah, so for the most part, right now, markets honestly don't look terrible. Obviously, we haven't seen a big V-shaped recovery for the last week or two. But really looking at the markets, they're holding pretty solid as of now. You can see across the board, nothing but green, really. I mean, there are some projects like Pyth, which was up like crazy last week. We covered that news. Crow, same thing, up last week like crazy, down about 7%. Bunk is down about 2%, but the rest of and Filecoin's down about 4% right now. But for the most part, Ethereum, also missing Ethereum's down 2% technically as of today. But for the most part, the rest of the market, it's just kind of just sitting there, right? It's not really, we're not seeing any kind of big movers. We're just kind of sitting there. That's why I was today's streaming was there's not really too much going on. We're going to cover what is going on, but there's not really too much going on as of now. Obviously, we all know Trump's company, not Trump, but he released or he dropped some token, what was that, yesterday on the Ethereum network. It is also on the Solana network. We'll cover it here in a second. And a lot of people were like, oh, God, it's going to take everything, the liquidity. I think a lot of people had postpartum from when Trump dropped his actual token on Solana, if you guys remember that. It freaking washed everything that was on the Solana network, right? Every freaking project on Solana was down like crazy because everybody was taking their liquidity out and moving it over into Trump coin. That this time around, it really didn't happen like that. And we're going to cover that project here in a second. Looking at the Bitcoin dominance right now, you can see we have moved up slightly. This right here shows you, right? Remember, I'd always tell you guys, Bitcoin dominance is always going to be inverse for Ethereum, right? So if Ethereum's up, Bitcoin dominance is usually down, and vice versa. If Ethereum's down, you're usually going to see Bitcoin dominance making its way towards the upper side. I mean, nothing to be too worried about. We did break back up above the 58.6 area, which is a spot that we've had as some solid resistance. We've bounced up there maybe a couple times, maybe a little bit shy, but you can see we have come up there and been rejected. As of now, we did break above. I'm curious to see if we're going to find it as some support. Is Bitcoin gonna take over the driver's seat for right now, maybe in the next few weeks? It could potentially happen like that. I told you guys this a few weeks ago. You know, we didn't harp on it, but I said there's going to be times in between now and the rest of this year that there's going to be where they're battling. You know, Bitcoin's going to come back. Dominance is going to, you know, start looking like it's coming back up. And then, you know, maybe the following week or however long it takes, following day, you guys get the gist. Ethereum's going to come back, right? And dominance is going to come back down, right? But for the most part, I think what it is that you have to zoom out and you have to understand that dominance has come down a considerable amount as of now, right? You can see we finally, this was, you know, obviously the last like 2 months, we broke below that dreaded trend that we've had for the last 3 years, right? We broke below that trend and you can see we're holding down pretty well. And I bring this up, you know, we've seen this before, but it was very brief. When we did this back in 2024 in December, we broke below and everybody's like, hell yeah, we're getting an altcoin season. We got into like a slight altcoin season, but it was like within a week, it was basically, you know, it was done, right? It wasn't ready yet. You can see now it's a complete different story where we've been down. Dominance has been coming down. It has done this in the last few weeks where it you know, it has a nice drop and then it'll kind of bounce, drop, bounce, you know, so you can see, but the most part is it's coming down. It's making lower highs and lower lows as it continues. And that's what we want to see as far as for Bitcoin dominance, right? A couple things I want to point out, guys. Jay, what is going on, bro? Is this a members only stream? All I see is green in the chat. Hell yeah. We'll use it as a members only stream. One thing that I was going to bring up in the members only stream, we'll just bring it up now, is, you know how we always talk about, we get into depth in regards to like just good times overall buying, right? Look where we're at right now for the fear and greed index. I said this last week that we probably were going to dip into fear. Look at this. We're actually, the market is in fear right now, right? And you guys know how it is. When we're in fear, it's usually a good time, not financial advice, but it tends to be every time it plays out, it was a good time to buy in. Obviously, with patience, you know, it's not going to be like you buy in today and tomorrow you're up 10x or anything like that, but it tends to be a good time to be buying in or adding to your bags when we're in fear and extreme fear, right? Not a good time, right, to be adding to your bags when we're in greed and extreme greed. That usually is a top signal. So now that we've dropped back down into fear, market still is doing great. I mean, the market cap's at 3.8 trillion. We're right under all-time highs. We're in fear. We're setting ourselves up, guys. I'm telling you, we're setting ourselves up. This market is basically shaking out. Like we said, we've said this plenty of times in the members only stream. The market it's going to shake people out either with dips or with boringness, right? And I think the boringness is what we're going through for the last few days, the last week, where Bitcoin has really just been hanging around these levels that everybody's bored of, right? You go back 6 months ago, Bitcoin had 110,000. We're freaking running. Now that we've gotten a taste of 125,000, Bitcoin at 110K, and people are like, this sucks. It's over. We already topped, you know? Those are all emotional investors. Stay away from those people, right? So we're in fear. Tends to be a good time. Like I said, if you look back in history, every time if you were to buy in strictly off of extreme fear and fear, you always would be in profit with patience, right? Like I said, with patience. Another thing too, if you look right here, I like how CoinMarketCap now is giving you this average crypto RSI. And it's basically showing you here where we're at. You have oversold and you have overbought. And look where we're at right now. We're kind of right in that middle spot, but we're tending to get a little bit into that oversold kind of area. We're not there yet, but we're close to that oversold area, which usually means good time to buy, right? Usually means the market has reset. It's resetting. We're in the process of that kind of a reset, you know, and most likely there's going to be an upward movement at some point coming up soon. So right here, these are two indicators, especially as fear and greed always plays out. Always plays out. Craig, what's going on, bro? Craig said, all good, shake away, I'm here to stay. Hell yeah. You know, it is what it is, bro. Like, it like I said, it was like today, you know, I'm getting the stream ready, and I'm like, bro, there's nothing to freaking stream about. We're going to talk about some things. I was like, this market's boring, right? But we have to take this shit, right? We can't always have constant, like, crazy movement, you know, and especially we don't want to see, like, a massive, you know, movement towards the downside, because then it ultimately sucks. So days like now, the last week, it's just like, you know, it's just, we're like kind of just going with the motion, right? Until the next big move happens, you know? So it is what it is. But let's cover some news here. So first things first, we'll go back to that one. But Solana's validators approve. I still don't know how to pronounce this new upgrade that's coming. Is it Alpenglow? Alpenglow. There it is. New Solana validators approve Alpenglow. If I'm mispronouncing it, sorry. Upgrade, positioning Solana for a run to $250. Hold on one second here. I feel like I had something in my nose. I don't. But let's see here. We covered this last week. So Solana validators concluded that the governance process for Alpenglow on September 2nd, positioning Solana for a potential run to $250. The community tallied 98% in favor and 1% opposed and 0.69 abstaining, with 52% of the total stake participating in the discussion. So basically what they did is anybody that has their Solana staked, you basically have a chair at the table where you guys get a vote, right? You get a vote and you basically can vote on, they lay out, you know, what this update's going to do. We covered it last week. Check out one of the streams from last week. I don't remember which one it was. I believe it was from Wednesday or Thursday. We talked about this, about what they're doing. They're basically, from what I remember, is it's going to be, the network's going to be able to handle more transactions per second. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. It was a whole list of stuff, but they're basically, what they're doing is Solana has to keep staying above and keeping that edge right now, because there's a lot of different ecosystems that are good right now, right? I mean, we have a lot. There's a lot of good ecosystems out there that are competing with Solana. So Solana has to keep stepping its game up, especially down the road as more people are using DeFi and more people are using the networks. They want to make sure they stay above. I talked about this on the Discord. If you guys remember, it wasn't, you know, broadcast everywhere, but Coinbase's DeFi went down for like 30 minutes. I think it was like 3 weeks ago, right? Completely down, where the whole ecosystem, you weren't able to buy, sell, nothing. All your shit was frozen for 30 minutes. This has happened for Solana a few years ago, if you guys remember. It happened worse, where they were down for like an hour, you know? And Solana dumped briefly, and then it came back, you know, and Solana, it was a good buying opportunity. But the point of what I'm getting to is Solana, you know, they needed to go through this to build off of their ecosystem and find out what was causing these issues and basically bulletproof it, you know. And now, you know, you go down, you fast forward a few years, and they haven't had any downward time whatsoever, right? They run, you know, perfectly fine every day, being able to consume the most transactions on any freaking ecosystem. The most money is being traded on Solana, and they're just going to continue to step it up and step it up and step it up. So that's why you're seeing that, you know, this is a big move as they keep moving, you know, the goalpost farther and further. And that's why you're seeing a lot of analysts are basically saying that with this upgrade, you could easily see Solana probably breaking up towards around $250. Right now, Solana technically is around $204. It's been holding pretty freaking strong. It really has. If you can see, we'll move this trend. You can easily see a nice trend since we bottomed out on this local bottom at around 126. This was back in June. You can see Solana has been easily making higher lows and higher highs as we've been continuing. And if you really look, it actually goes all the way back here, right? Other than, yes, we did have a nice little drop right here, but you can see, I mean, the trend has really been moving since we really bottomed out, breaking below $100. This was in April, right? So Solana's already over doubled in the last 4 months from that big drop right there. And I think they're going to continue to move. Like I said, at the top of this market, I wouldn't be surprised. I've been saying this for the last year. We easily see a $600+ Solana easily. So just to finish off, they're going to actually go through, I guess, whatever they're doing. So the upgrade induces Voter, a direct vote-based system that finalizes blocks through single or dual round voting processes depending on network conditions. The protocol transforms promises to slash transactions finality from tower BFTs, current 12.8 seconds, to as low as 100 to 150 milliseconds. The network achieves bandwidth efficiency gains by eliminating heavy gossip traffic with current burdens the system. Basically what they're doing is, like I said, they're opening up. Think about, right now there's like a tube that allows so much water to go through. They're about to install a tube that's going to allow like 10 times more, water to flow through, so a lot more transactions, like I said, a lot more stuff being able to be handled on the actual network. So this is great. Moving over, like I said, not a big news day today. Andrew Tate gets liquidated for $67,000 on WLFI. This is Trump's company's new token. Immediately bets again with a long position. I'm going to pull that chart up real quick. So Andrew Tate lost $67,000 on a leverage with the WLFI position on Tuesday, then immediately opened up another long bet on Trump's crypto token. The controversial influencer liquidation on Hyperliquid extends his trading losses to nearly $700,000 across 80 trades with just a 36% win rate. I was thinking this earlier when I saw this. This guy, he should just, however he gets his money, he needs to stick to that, because he's leveraged trading, right? And like they said, he has a success rate of 36%. He's lost $700K in the last few months, which might not be a lot to him, but it's like, bro, why don't you just, because you guys remember, Andrew Tate, actually, you go back, there's videos of him like 5 years ago telling people to buy Bitcoin. Realistically, the dude was buying Bitcoin at cheap prices. He said he made a lot of money off of Bitcoin on the last bull run back in 2021. So, I mean, he knows crypto. He knows at least, like when to get in on crypto. But I think the leverage trading is just, it wrecks a lot of people. Like me personally, I just jumped out of leverage trading for a while just because it gets to be addicting, right? And I think it takes the fun of trading in all due reality. Like when you're leverage trading, it's like all you want to do is leverage trade, right? You get some wins, you'll get a big loss, right? And then you're like revenge trading, where you're trying to get your money back. You're making crazy, leverage trades at like high leverage. And it's just like, it just sets you up to fail in all due reality, right? Now, I'm not against, like minimum leverage trading, opening up a small leverage, if the market, like if you would have done this when we jumped up to 125, a small, and I mean small, like a low leverage, short, I would have been like, hell yeah, right? I was honestly contemplating doing that, and I was like, you know what? I don't even want to be bothered with it, right? Even though it was probably a sure thing that we were going to at least come down, and retest certain levels, even just because we just broke that all-time high when we hit 125. The point of what I'm getting to is when you get into that wormhole of leverage trading, it's hard to get out of. Again, everything is set up to for you to fail. It really is. You can sit here and think that the markets like the back of your hand. You have all these trading indicators and all this stuff. You're still the chances of you end up losing are still higher than you winning, right? Obviously, or everybody would be successful and everybody would be leverage trading, So personally, me, I just kind of like lately, the last like 2 months, I felt like the stress has been just like, because I used to go to bed with open positions and I'd be like, bro, I'd wake up like 16 times through the night to see if I'm like close to getting liquidated or if I need to close my position or whatever the case is. Just because it was just like, it was stressful. And yes, there are stop losses and all that good stuff, but real leverage traders don't use stop losses. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, it's just a, you just have to monitor it at all times, and it's just stressful. It really is. So, let's see here. So Tate reopened his WLFI position within minutes of the liquidation because he's revenge trading, right? Continuing his pattern of high leverage crypto betting despite the broader market downtime. So what he's doing, we'll pull it up here. What he's doing is he's opening up longs, right, on Hyperliquid on Trump's new project that dropped, right? And I was talking to somebody today at the gym, and they were like, what do you think about this project? And I was like, you know what, dude? I was like, from all of the crypto space, when Trump dropped his first project, most people were like, bro, why? Why? Whether you support him or not, I'm just like, kind of just like, dude, why are you dropping projects? You know what I'm saying? And if you remember, when he dropped the project, it freaking screwed all of Solana. It literally screwed all of Solana, taking most of the liquidity, And it was just like, everybody was like, what the fuck, bro? If you weren't making money off of the Trump coin, you were pissed. I know I was. I was like, dude, what in the hell is going on right now? I just woke up in the morning and like, it's all everywhere. It's just Trump coin. And I'm like, dude, first off, I was pissed because I missed the boat. Second of all, I'm looking at all my DeFi on Solana and everything's like down like 30-40%. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So this project, I'm pulling it up right now. It's sitting at around 22.5 cents. You can see the project, opened up and it ran up to about 33 cents. But since then, it has come down and it's kind of been consolidating, which regardless, any project, if you guys know about this project, I'm sure there was a lot of pre-sales, right? A lot of people were able to get in before the project actually dropped at a fraction of the price, right? So you're going to have a lot of sell pressure. I don't know the ins and outs of this project. I really don't. I don't even want to be really bothered with it, but I'm, like I said, any kind of, especially if there's any like IPOs or anything like that, people are going to get in with at a fraction of the price. So when it drops, there's always going to be sell pressure, right? I always say this on the channel whenever there's new projects that drop. I'm like, be careful with those projects because there's going to always be usually sell pressure at the beginning, and then it'll find, that bottom, right? And then if it's a good project, it'll probably start finding its way towards the upper side, given, how the market's structured. If we're in a good time in the market, the whole crypto space, and if the project is, a valid project as far as, like people see, that it's going to do something. With that being said, this guy's he's getting liquidated, opening up longs. I mean, from what I can see, he can't be up on his position unless he got liquidated down here, right? And then opened up a long at 20 cents, and maybe had potential to close it at 25 cents. Maybe that's like the only really, I mean, there are swings here, but it's too risky. It's too risky in my opinion on this project. Market cap right now is at 6.39 billion, and this is an Ethereum based project. Steve, what's going on? Twan, what's going on, bro? What's going on, bro? So yeah, I mean, me personally, not touching this. If this thing drops down, let's say this thing drops down to like 10 cents, I probably would throw some money at it just because I wouldn't be surprised, if it bounces and maybe has a nice little run towards the upside at some point. But like right now, the project just dropped yesterday. It's sitting not too far from where its highs. It's been consolidating. There's probably still going to be a lot of sell pressure in my opinion. People are probably still sitting here waiting for a nice little move towards the upside so they can, get their profits back or get their ROI back. So Steve said Pepe's an ETH project. Oh, bro, listen, I don't have any issue with Ethereum-based projects whatsoever. I'm happy that he dropped it on Ethereum because, look, it's number one trending on Ethereum on the DEX. I'm glad. I was like relieved, even though you can buy this on Solana, right? But it's an Ethereum-based project, right? I prefer that so it didn't fuck with anything on Solana. It didn't, like, Solana wasn't, when this was going on, when it first dropped, Solana's ecosystem was freaking, if you guys remember, it was congested. They were charging more for fees because Ethereum right now, fees are outrageous because of this project as of earlier, right? It's too much for these ecosystems. And like I said, it pretty much wiped out a lot of liquidity out of the other projects that were on Solana. People were like repositioning themselves or selling off of, their meme coins and buying in on the Trump coin, so it just was causing a lot of issues on Solana. So I'm happy that it's at least on Ethereum. Let it be Ethereum's problem. But on the other side, like I said, you can buy it on Solana. Let's see here. You can buy it on Solana, but what's weird, so it's WLFI, I think it is, right? If you see here, it is on Solana, right? And I verified this is an actual one. Make sure if you guys are looking on Solana, it says the market cap right now is at 22 billion, liquidity's at $9 million, volume's at around $20 million, right? So, I mean, you can obviously see, and it's the same price as what the Ethereum-based project is, right? So this is the same project. One thing on Solana is you can see it says this token is mintable, right? Which means they can basically add to the circulating supply at any time. And it also says this token is freezable, which means, I wish they would give us the definition, but it means that, wait, actually, I think it would show us here. It says whether token owner can freeze this token to prevent transactions and trading, right? So, I mean, you can see, obviously, it's lit up in a red hazard sign, which usually it's when you see stuff like that on tokens, it's not a good thing, right? Obviously, this is a legit project with a lot of liquidity, so I don't think anybody has to worry about that. But I don't know, just like I said, me personally, I'm not getting near it. I'm good. I don't feel like I missed out on any of this stuff. I just, sticking to what we know, right? What works for us. So yeah, he got liquidated. I wish it would tell us where. Let me see here. Oh, man, I didn't feel like clicking into this. Let's see. So he opened up a long. Oh, he opened it up at 21 cents. He did catch it. So he did catch it when it dropped down. You can see he got liquidated right here. Market order liquidation. He got liquidated at 21.7 cents, right? He had two positions open, and then he went ahead and opened up. He opened up a long. Damn, $210,000. He went and reopened it up. Holy crap! At 21 cents. So I mean, he's up. He's up right now. So who knows? But still, I don't know. Not too interested in jumping on this project. You guys, did you guys buy in on this? Now, I'm not saying down the road the project is probably going to do good, right? Because, I mean, they've been acquiring, like, a lot of shit, like a lot of companies and stuff like that, so I wouldn't be surprised. And they're going to get news coverage. That project's going to get a lot of news coverage and stuff, so I'm not saying it's not a long-term bad buy at all. I'm just saying, like, right now you want to maybe just be cautious because it could come down a little bit more, So, Marlon, what's going on, bro? What's going on, brother? So let's get into some bullish stuff here, guys. Let me reset this real quick. So let's talk, guys. Let's talk real quick. We have a big week ahead of us. We really do. It's Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. Couple things. Fed meeting, less than 2 weeks, technically 2 weeks in a day from today, right? 91.6% of the market is basically thinking that we're going to see some kind of a reduction in interest rates, somewhere around 0.25% or 0.25 or 25 basis point reduction in interest rates, right? So that is a plus, right? I'm thinking that the markets, this right here is going to be our savior for right now. As far as with the markets, if anything, might occur in these next couple weeks, a lot of the market is, well, you know what? We have the rate cuts coming up in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, and a week from now. I'm speaking, as we move in these next few days. So I'm thinking this is going to be, well, obviously it's nothing but a plus for the markets, but I'm thinking that we'll probably, as we get closer towards this Fed meeting, we're going to start seeing the markets picking up, whether it's a buy the news, event or whatever the case is, nothing but a plus, right? And also, even if this is buy the rumor, sell the news event, it's going to be short term for that, because you go over, you got September's meeting, right? And then you go over to October's meeting, which is 6 weeks from, the September's meeting. And you can see almost 100% of the market is indicating that we're going to see another rate cut, right? We were told that we're going to see 3 rate cuts, which would mean September, October, and December. I don't know if there's going to be 3. I've been saying this. I think that we'll see one September and most likely December, right? I feel like we're getting Jerome Powell he's going to reduce a quarter, right? It's going to be hard for him because he's, for whatever reason, does not want to reduce interest rates. But he's going to do that quarter because he's forced. October, he's going to be like, dream on. There ain't no way in hell I'm doing that. And then by December, he's probably going to be all in the Christmas spirit, and he's going to be probably drinking his eggnog, spiked eggnog. You guys know I do that every year, right? So be ready. And he's going to be like, you know what? Sitting with his grandkids, he's like, I'm going to reduce interest rates in the next week on this next meeting. I'm feeling good. Oh, Grandpa, thank you so much. No, but I really do think that it's probably going to be September and December. But if we were to get 3, that would be epic. That would be epic. And regardless, right, if the market's thinking that we're going to get 3, that means that September meeting, right, if you're thinking it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news event, it's going to be short-lived, because 6 weeks later we have another FOMC meeting where 100% of the market as of now is thinking that we're going to see another rate cut, So these next 3 meetings, which is basically the rest of this year, other than November, we're most likely going to be seeing rate cuts. I think October is probably going to be the outliner where if we're not going to see one, it's going to be in October. My opinion. So we have that. Also, the market this week is going to be keeping an eye out on macro. As far as the unemployment rate that's dropping on the 5th, which is going to be Friday. This is going to be big, guys, because this right here is going to be setting the Feds up for that reduction in interest rates, right? So we already know, obviously, the Feds want to see unemployment tick up. Yes, I know it stinks. If you're the one that's affected, you get laid off, or you get fired, or whatever the case is, it sucks. But if you're an investor, this is what we want to see, right? So right now you can see we're forecast to go up from 4.2 up to 4.3. Nothing crazy, but a tick up. That's what we want to see. If we were to see a tick down where the labor market is getting strong, not good. Non-farm payrolls, these are basically the jobs created. Previous was 73,000, which is absolutely so low. It's forecast to be at 75,000, which is a little bit higher, but still absolutely so low for a country that has over 300 million people. Only 75,000 jobs were created. And this isn't like political or anything like that. It's a rough time out there. It really is. It's a rough time, in the job labor market. And once they start reducing interest rates and freeing up money, right? Because interest rates come down, people are able to borrow, companies are able to borrow. There's going to be a lot more money out there. You'll see the unemployment start to come back down. But right now, with interest rates so high, not a lot of money circulating, companies are holding off from either hiring or they're trimming off the fat, right? We've seen this big in like the tech companies, customer service, AI, engineers and stuff like that. It's been very heavily affected as of now. So with that being said, September the 5th, which is going to be Friday, is when we're going to be waiting for that. Going to be in the morning. That's going to be a big day, because that right there, like I said, as long as it comes in like its forecast to be a little bit higher than previous as far as unemployment rate, that right there is going to seal the deal. 100% Feds are going to be reducing rates, coming up in the next 2 weeks. So, bullish, what's going on? Old, what's going on? What's going on, boys? So, we'll see how that plays out. A couple of things also. Looks like the market, S&P, we're about to close. The market's about to close in like 30 seconds. It looks like the S&P is trying to rebound. It was down at some point. It was down over a 1.5%, but you can see a nice little green candle spiking right before the close. We dropped down to 63.60, We're back up to about 64.14 as of now, coming off of highs from last week on the S&P. Dow Jones, the same thing. You can see Dow Jones, the same thing. The VIX is up 9%. The dollar actually is up today. And a big thing, gold. Look at gold. Freaking spiking. Gold is spiking. This right here, I don't have anything against gold, but we don't want to see gold technically spiking. And the reason is because when you're seeing gold spiking, it usually means that people are moving from riskier assets, Bitcoin, the stock market, right? And they're going into gold for whatever reason. The market's scared of whatever, And I think the big thing is I don't have the chart up for whatever reason. Let me pull it up. But it's September. We've said this how many times? September is historically a bad month, not only for crypto, but for the stock market as well. We closed August. Look at this. We closed August pretty brutal. 6.5% down for August of last month. So pretty brutal right there. Comparing, and this is what I was watching a young lady earlier today. I don't remember her name. I always forget. Sometimes I like to watch smaller channels just to give them, like them views and stuff like that, and kind of always like to hear their perspective, especially when girls. And I usually crypto is a male-dominated industry. So like when you see like the YouTuber girls and they're talking crypto, I always watch them, because it's like a different perspective. And this girl today, I don't remember her name. I'll try to get it if I ever watch her show again. But she was live and she was basically talking about how everybody's expecting September to be a wash, right? You go, and we're basing it off of the 4-year cycles, right? You go back to 2021 was a terrible month, right? You go back to 2017 was a terrible month, right? Both down respectively over 7%. But you look at August, right? The month right before September during these 4-year cycles, 2017 August up 65%. You go to 2021, August was up almost 14%. Fast forward to 2025, August is down 6.5%, right? It's just kind of throwing that wrench into it, and basically her argument was like, everybody is expecting September to be bad. And she's like, I wouldn't be surprised if September ends up, doing the complete opposite of what it's been doing the last 4 years. And we had that red August, which we normally never get. And we have a crazy, crazy good September. And her argument was, the feds, the Fed rates, a lot of different things that are coming in during September on top of October, November, December being a good end of the year as well during bull run. So, I was thinking about it and it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens. We easily could see a red August and a red September, right? It could be an outliner like that, but I'm not necessarily sold yet, right? That we could honestly, because we have some big things that we haven't seen in a long time, particularly the rate cut that's coming up in 2 weeks, that I wouldn't be surprised if September, I'm saying it now, I wouldn't be surprised if September ends in the green. I wouldn't be surprised. But for now, right, this past weekend, last week, you had a lot of the market, because there was really nothing going on for the markets to be selling off, other than historically September is a crappy month for the stock market and crypto. So people were basically trying to hedge before, we get into September. And that's why we had most likely a lot of sell pressure, so we'll see how it turns out. I wouldn't be surprised if September, stays like right now we're in the green, right? Bitcoin can move, make its move, and we start getting back up to, above the channel, right? Because you can see, not perfect, but you can see a channel, even though we have broke above the channel, you can see we've kind of gone back into this channel, right? And if we can break above, which is really just 112,300, we can see a nice little break above that, and we start getting it back into like 115, 117. I think Ricky or somebody was calling 118 to 120, in these next few weeks. We can get to some of these solid levels. Wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing a lot of that money coming right back in with people like, what? Maybe September isn't going to be one of those typical bad months. Let me get back in because October, November, December are always great months during 4-year cycles. So you have people kind of front running all this. If we can get the ball back up and running, wouldn't be surprised if we just start seeing a big surge and money flowing in, and we start breaking up towards these higher sides or higher numbers as we get closer towards these next 2 weeks with the rate cut coming. So, Lazy, what's going on? September, Pumptober. All right, Pumptober. But you know what? Regardless, like I said, regardless of whatever happens this month, we know where we're still headed. Nothing's changed. You can see. Sorry, my phone's going crazy. Fear and greed index right now. We're in that fear. So historically speaking, solid time to be accumulating. Solid time. Looking at the 7 days movers, just wanted to look here. You can see we've had some decent movers in the last week, still holding some solid gains. Meme Core up 92% in the last week. Story up 36%. Pyth, obviously we talked about that, 35%. Pump.fun, where's Troy at? Up 26%. Chrono still holding pretty solid, up 21.5% for the week. We have Matic up about 16%. KuCoin's tokens up 14%. Sky, BitGet, Bitcoin Cash all up about 10 to 7%. Athena, Pax Gold, still doing solid. So, I mean, these are the top 100s as far as projects. You can see still a lot of these projects are holding their gains. They're holding their gains. Yes, they might be down from, the top of where they were at last week or whatever the case is, but they're still holding their gains. We haven't really seen a massive dump, right? We really haven't seen a massive dump necessarily. Even with the market cap, 4.2 being the top as of now. Right now, Bitcoin's sitting just under 3.9 trillion. So you can see, yes, we did drop down about $300 billion as far as for the whole crypto space, right? But like I said, if we can get back up to some of these levels, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that 300 billion starts flowing back in with the indication thinking, you know what, maybe September is not going to be that bad month that we've all been anticipating, So, but if you are a member, right, how long have we been talking about September? We've literally been talking about September since like April. I have been talking about September because we always try to look into the future, and I've been calling the 4-year cycle and what we kind of been, what we have in front of us and what could play out, right? Always with that disclaimer of, yes, we might have seen this happen, this way in 2021. Doesn't need to be necessarily the exact same, but you can't rule out that how September normally is across the board. It's usually just a crappy month. It's usually one of those months where it just shakes everybody. Not everybody. It shakes the weak hands out, right? And the smart money is buying, right? Smart money is buying. And that leads to, look at this. Today, Strategy, another 4,000. Strategy buys another 4,000 Bitcoin today at 110,900, which is about $450 million, right? And every time we are streaming, what do I always bring up? In the last week, yeah, the markets have been down, but the whales have been buying. The whales have been accumulating. And Bitcoin, they've been buying Bitcoin, but they've really been doubling down on Ethereum, right? We've been talking about this on all our shows, how, yes, the markets are down, right? But you can see, looking at some of these wallets, that these whales are just basically accumulating mass amounts of really Ethereum, picking them up on these dips, I thought something else was really cool here. Coinbase. It says Coinbase is going to be, I don't know if they have, but it says new Coinbase derivatives to launch with the Mag 7 plus crypto ETFs, combining the Magnificent 7 tech stocks and crypto ETFs in a single future contract. So I think it's pretty cool. So now you can, and Crypto.com does the same thing where you can basically you can now on some of these platforms, you can also buy stocks, which is kind of cool. You can kind of keep your portfolio all at once. You don't have to have like a bunch of different, portfolios or whatever the case is. Which I actually like having different portfolios just in case if something happens, like something happens to crypto.com. Well, I know, I have other stuff, other places, right? Instead of having it, basically having all your shit in one basket. But this was pretty cool. So Coinbase is going to allow people to be buying in basically on all these big tech companies that all provide derivatives, right? If you're familiar or if you're not, derivatives basically is what companies pay out, sometimes quarterly, yearly, whatever the case is, and it's based off of how much you own of their stock, right? So it's pretty cool. You're going to get a chance to own out of this everything that's on the picture here. I'll zoom in on it. Make sure that's on there. You can see Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, Facebook, Tesla, Coinbase, and these are the ETFs for this is BlackRock's Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So all these are going to pay out derivatives just for you holding, So I think that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I obviously, I'm not promoting them or anything like that, but I think if you're looking for something to where you can just park your money and you don't really want to just mess with anything and you just want to kind of let it build long term, that's not a bad move. I actually was looking at companies that provide derivatives, not right now, but maybe when we get into a bear market. I wouldn't be upset with myself. I almost knocked my beer over. I wouldn't, I would like to position myself when things cool off, maybe in the bear market and then next year or whatever the case is, and jump into Nvidia and Apple and some of these projects that do provide, or some of these stocks that these companies that provide dividends, get them when they're lower, right? So I can, get a big amount of them, buy them when they're a lot lower and just let them sit there instead of right now. If you bought in, you are buying in. It's like buying Bitcoin right now, right? You're buying in pretty high, right? Even though long term it's gonna continue to probably move up, but maybe it would be worth it even with the derivatives, because unless you're playing with millions and millions of dollars, you're not gonna be getting massive amount of money, off of derivatives, but you're gonna get, and then you also can set up your derivatives just to keep rebuying whatever you're holding as well. But that's a whole other story. But the point of what I'm getting to is I'd rather wait 6 months, a year. Wait for some of these projects to cool down. If we do see one, maybe 15, 20%, then jump in, right? And you get a better position. You're buying, towards the bottom. So then even when you go to sell these stocks at some point, you bought in at a good time and not at a top. So, Ricky, what's going on, bro? He said your 402k. Right? Your 402k. Crack open another beer, guys. What's going on? Cheers. Fun fact, I'm drinking right now. Let me see if the camera picks it up. I'm drinking Sierra Nevada IPA. I've been to Sierra Nevada. It's in Northern California. I've been there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's up there north of Sacramento and all that stuff. Up there in the triangle, if you know what I'm talking about. Wait, we have another Ricky in here? What's going on, bro? Holy crap, the battles of the Rickies. Here we go. But yeah, just to get back on topic, I think this is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Crypto.com. I don't know about derivatives, but they do allow you to buy stocks as well on Crypto.com. So, you guys know how I am with Crypto.com. I think their fees are outrageous, but if it makes it simpler for people to buy all at once or in one place, I think that's pretty cool. Another thing Crypto.com does now is, and I'm not encouraging this at all, but they allow you to, you can bet now, sport betting on Crypto.com with your crypto. Be careful with that, because I freaking got my ass handed to. If I know some of you guys remember Super Bowl. Well, no, it was playoffs. I had a bunch of freaking money in my freaking Crypto.com account, and I was moving shit into. I started placing bets on like the underdogs. I put in money on not the Chiefs, the Washington, right? Because they had just beat the Bucks. So I was like, you know what? I was like revenge trading. I was like, if they beat the Bucks, I was like, they're probably gonna go. I forgot who they were playing. They were playing, I think, Philadelphia during the championship game or something. But I lost that bet, and then I lost. There was another bet that I had for the other team. I don't remember. I'm not remembering the teams, but both teams I picked, I lost. So, but it's pretty. I mean, if you know what you're doing, right? You can get in. You triple your money. It's how they have it. You have to pay fees. That's what sucks. That's what sucks. But you can get in, and it's like you put in $100, you get back $300. Pretty much. So, again, not encouraging that whatsoever. I'm just saying it's at least cool that a lot of these platforms are, offering other stuff other than just crypto trading. So, Lazy said Crip buying stocks before GTA 6 is wild, bro. I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6 to drop, dude. I cannot wait. All I'm saying, guys, is if you guys don't see me for like 2 weeks after the game drops, just come look for me on in GTA. I'll be on there. I forgot. I'm gonna put my gamer tag because I just like got everything set up for EA Sports and stuff like that. So it's like I don't remember what it was. I think I did Crypto FUD. You might have to look me up on there. I don't remember because I'm about to jump on Battlefield 6 as well. So, looking to see if we've missed anything else news-wise. There's really nothing else going on. Bitcoin, 111,000 as of now. Yeah, 111,000 right now. So, I mean, listen, guys. Things don't look terrible, right? Things could be a lot worse. I just gave you guys a whole hour of the reason, on reasons why, like myself, even as of today, this morning, I've been just stacking up on my projects. Even if I'm down on them, just been accumulating. It sucks. I know it sucks. But I'm not saying you have to, right? But not financial advice, but I tend to buy when most people do not want to buy, right? When they're terrified. I do not buy in when the market's going all crazy euphoria and Bitcoin's going to 200K. This is when I'm sitting here and I have a big smile on my face because I'm ready to dump on all that exit liquidity that's coming. You guys know how I am. So when we're in times like this is when I'm buying. I'm not just bullshitting with you. I'm literally been adding. I have right now I'm holding the most I've had for certain projects that I've had in the last 2 years. Because on top of, just it being we're back in fear, I know where we're at in this 4-year cycle, right? And we know what's coming. So if I'm getting an extra chance, right, that last September dip for me to just accumulate right now, it is what it is. I'm not using funds that I need to pay my family or pay for my family, my daughter, or anything like that, or pay my bill. None of that. So if it takes a little bit longer, so be it, right? But I'm going to grab these deals and I'm going to let it sit here. And like I said, I'm especially going to buy when the market is in a sentiment like it is right now where people are like, ugh, they don't know where we're headed. The retail's been selling back off again. But who's buying right now? Crypto FUD's buying and Michael Saylor's buying. And Tom Lee is buying, right? All these flipping whales are sitting here accumulating right in front of you, right? Literally. We're going through articles last week, all week, of these guys buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of crypto, right? While the market's dumping. What you think they know where we're headed. You know this. So when it's hard to buy, I understand, but it tends to be the best time as far as an investment. So Lazy said Borderlands 4 Borderlands 4's next week. I'll have to check it out. I saw advertisement on it, bro. I don't know anything about it. Old said I'm a huge fan of Battlefield 1. Bro, you know what? I never played Battlefield 1, but you know where I was honestly like crazy good was on Battlefield 4. I literally, bro, I would be in that chopper or I'd be in the damn jet, bro, and it was just like insane. Insane. I'd sit there and just run like 30 kills, 0 deaths, like back to back, back to back. Lazy said, what are we looking like on Maniki? That's a good question, bro. Where is Maniki? Excuse me. Whoa, I was like, what the hell? There's Maniki right there. So, I mean, that fib retracement doesn't do us any good. I should probably remove the fib for right now. I'm going to remove this fib and do a smaller one. Let's see here. I don't know if this one does any justice either. But, so a couple things with Maniki that I will say. Right now, you can see we're kind of in this consolidation right now where it's not really, you're seeing little moves, where you have these, the rebounds where it looks like rebounds and then it kind of comes back down. It's been across the board, right? For all these projects on Solana, really haven't seen a lot of movement. Here and there, you'll see some of these projects will pop, but they'll come back down as well. But with Maniki, I honestly, I mentioned this probably like 2 months ago. I jumped out of Maniki like completely because a couple of things that I noticed, other than the devs, they started a new project that pretty much has tanked Kappa, which I'll bring up here in a second. Pretty much tanked. But what I noticed was that with like Maniki, even though right now it doesn't look terrible, right? The volume has come down so much on Maniki, right? Meaning like there just hasn't been a lot of money flowing in and out of Maniki. Now, I'll say the project that I'm real bullish on, Mask, right now, which is on Solana as well, the volume has dropped down as well, right? I've noticed it's just been across the board. Volume has dropped down on a lot of projects for right now. It tends to do this when we're in this like area where, like I said, we're in fear right now, where just a lot of people aren't buying, right? But even before, I noticed that Maniki really wasn't doing very good for volume, right? And you guys know I watched that like a hawk as far as like how many different wallets are trading during the day, how much volume is going in and out of the project, and you can see only 86 different wallets are trading as of now. Let me see. Only 86 wallets are trading as of now, and volume's at 191,000. So, I mean, not a lot of wallets, different unique wallets trading, but volume doesn't look terrible. So, I mean, I think that Maniki has built a solid fan base as far as like, a community. I think they're gonna do decent. I wouldn't be surprised if they do really well. I just personally moved over to a different project just because one thing that moves the main thing that moves a meme coin is always going to be hype, right? Hype is going to be the main mover for a meme coin. When you see some of these meme coins where they start to lose hype, that's where I'm like, I don't want to be stuck holding the bag here and this thing just moves sideways for a while. So, I mean, that was my justification of why I jumped out of Maniki. But, I mean, you can see as of now, I mean, it's making higher lows, kind of consolidating at a decent spot right now with the $12 million market cap. I mean, it's in a good spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something big. These moves back here, if you guys remember just a few months ago, this was all manipulation. If you guys remember, I forgot, what was it, Wintermute? They were coming in and buying millions of dollars worth of this project when the market cap was at like $10 million. So they were easily manipulating the market and then dumping on everybody, right? They kept dumping on everybody. This was a bad look on the project, so it is what it is. But I think as of now, as things kind of just keep moving forward, a project like Maniki that's trading on a lot of centralized exchanges will probably do well down the road. So, Lazy, Dropped a what is that? 5-piece? Hell yeah, bro. Appreciate that, dude. Bro, Lazy, you know, the other day I was thinking about you. I was like, bro, remember when we were having those streams and my boy would come in here and drop like 10 pieces, like back to back? You're the GOAT for that, bro. You really are. And then I don't know if these people are here because I found out that you don't have to necessarily be in the stream to get a members if anybody gifts. But on behalf of them, thank you so much, Lazy. I appreciate it because you're supporting the channel at the end of the day, bro. So I appreciate that. And don't worry, your Maniki it'll do good, bro. I could easily see Maniki running up when we get into that DeFi season, parabolic. You easily run up to like 100 million. At least, right? And that's like a 9x from where it's at right now. So, but like with that being said, across the board, looking at like other projects, I was looking at that Make Crow great again. Really, there's nothing really like. I mean, there's things that are in the green, but nothing really crazy. You know, like the volume is low in DeFi for right now. Even for Mask, right? This project does like $1 million days, and you can see it's at 500,000 for volume with only 600 makers, right? Normally it's at like 3,000 makers, 1.5 million in volume, and it's not doing that today. So, and where's ZB? You can see Zbeck. We broke out of this downward trend that we've been in, but we're kind of like sitting around on this 0.5 fib right now, around that 40 level. That 40 level, even if you zoom back, this 40 level has been an area where we've kind of, when we get around it, you can see support, then we kind of broke below. Over here, support. 0.5 has been that area where we like to stay around for a while. So, but I mean, you can see a nice little break from the trend on Zbeck for now. So, same thing as we were heading down, was just adding to the bag on Zbeck. You might buy some what? Bast? Is that what it's called? Bast? That can't be what you're talking about, right? Oh, you're talking about Mask. Listen, you know, I can't give out financial advice, but Mask, I'm telling you, that's the one. I am heavily invested in Mask, right? Disclaimer. I don't know anybody like the devs or anybody. I don't know any of the people that run the devs, but the squad on here. This right here, I'm telling you, over 30,000 holders. And like I said, normally the volume is crazy high on this project. $7 million market cap, so it's still relatively low. And they haven't. They're on a few mid-tier central exchanges, but they really haven't like yet got on to any really big. Like they're on MEXC and LBank and a few little other ones, but really majority of the volume comes in through swaps right now. But I mean, what I'm saying is this community is big. If you go on Twitter and you look them up, you follow them, their Discord, from what I've heard, I'm not on their Discord or anything like that, but massive community. And this is usually, those are the things you want to look for, right? And I'm not just saying for Mask, but for meme coins, because like I said, the community is what drives meme coins. Meme coins aren't going to be used for a currency in a different country or anything like that, right? They don't have any use case behind them. They are solely ran off of hype, right? So what you look for in a meme coin is how strong is the community behind it. And that's why I personally am heavily invested in Mask, because I think down the road, this project's going to do well, even if it doesn't even get listed on freaking, a big central exchange. I'm telling you guys, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing at least runs up to $100-200 million market cap, which technically would be a 10 to 20x from where it's at right now. So massive community. Volume usually tends to be good, even on a day like today where it's off. It's still over $500,000 in volume just on PumpSwap alone. And like I said, over 30,000 holders as of now. So in building. So yeah, it's mass. So if you look it up, I can actually drop the let me see here. I can drop the address on here. And you would pick this up off of your Solana wallet. That's the wallet right there that you would just go on to into your Solana wallet if you're like using Jupiter or not Jupiter. I'm sorry, like your Phantom wallet or whatever you're using for Solana, and go in. You could either go on PumpSwap or I get it off of Jupiter. Jay said SSX. Yeah, bro. The other day, was it yesterday? I think you guys were running, if I wasn't mistaken. I have you saved right here. You guys are up 17% right now. Not looking bad, bro. No Diddy. Talking about the project, not you, bro. Nice little trend towards the upside, right? Higher lows being made. Looks good as of now. Small market cap, too. Only $3 million. Volume, 200, about $250,000 as of now. And, like, I compare, like this project. Solid project, right? Small market cap, but a solid market cap, $3 million. All right, volume looks great. You're at 247,000 off of just Radium, right? So you do the comparison from the market cap to the volume. You have a solid volume coming in. Holders, you're at 2,200 people holding the project. That's why I go back to Mask, right? Over 30,000 people are holding Mask, right? The community is massive. It's massive, right? Again, I think this project's great. I'm just comparing the project because that's one thing I was pointing to about Mask is that it has such a big community, right? And that's what's gonna drive these meme coins like Dogecoin, right? Like Shiba. You go back to a lot of these meme coins, they all started at these places, right? And this is how it was. It was all word of mouth, and just all over Twitter and stuff like that, but building that community, right? And everyone basically staying bullish and building the hype. That's what drives a meme coin, right? And that's the fundamentals, whether it's Mask or if it's any other projects. That's what you want to look at when you're jumping in on some of these projects is, does it have a solid community behind it, right? Are people bullish on this project? How many people are holding this project? What's the volume looking like? 6 months down the road, you don't look at the volume when a project's just dropped that day. The volume's always going to be high, but 6 months down the road, is it still relevant? That's the things you have to ask. Like, this project's been out for over a month and still doing great on volume for your the SSX. So, and they've been holding pretty well. They really have. Up 18% for the day. So, oh, you can't copy on here? Yeah, I'll put it in the Discord, bro. Right when we're finished here, I'll put it in the Discord. I'm surprised YouTube usually, like, if you put an address on here, it won't even let you, it'll be blocked out because they do it because of all those freaking scams. Those, like, they have, like, streams. Send me your Bitcoin and I'll send you back 3 Bitcoin. Have you guys seen those? Send me all your XRP and we'll send you double back. And people actually fall for that shit. So YouTube had to, like, be like, all right, you can't put any addresses. You can't put your wallet address on here. Nothing. They have all that shit blocked, which is good for them. Which is good for them. Make sure. So I think we covered everything, guys. I think we pretty much have covered everything as of now. Bitcoin right now is sitting at around 111,200. We are having a big spot for some resistance around 111,300. You can see this is on the 1 hour candle. You can see we've kind of gone up 1, 2, now 3 times. Even though we have broke above we cannot find, as of now, we have not found support above this level right here at 111,300. So honestly, guys, like I said, we have unemployment dropping in the next few days, right? As long as those numbers drop out the way we're looking for the most part, you know, I think the markets are going to be pretty straight. Jolt's job openings actually drops tomorrow. We'll see how that plays out. Let me see. And then unemployment, really. So I think we're going to have a solid week ahead of us as long as no curveballs get thrown. But again, guys, listen, regardless of this week, we're in a buy zone right now. Take advantage of it. Not financial advice, but take advantage of it, guys. I'm telling you. These next few months, when we're running, it's going to be fast. It's going to be fast. And you're going to be looking back like, fuck, should have bought when Crip was buying. And Sailor. And Tom Lee. And Ricky. And Flip. And Lazy. And the whole squad I should have been buying. Alright, guys. That's pretty much it. Nice. We got up to almost 20 likes. Appreciate that. Alright, Lazy. I'll drop that. I'll drop the address in the Discord. Everybody else, I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys are watching this after the fact, make sure, please, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We'll be back here this week. Hopefully this market isn't boring, and I'll come back on. I swear, when the markets are boring, I'm just like, what is there to talk about? You're like trying to pull stuff out of the hat here. But we'll be all right. We're going to be all right. We're going to have a solid last few months ahead of us, guys. I'm telling you. So just be ready. Just be ready. All right, guys? With that being said, Lazy. Marlon, what's going on, bro? Lazy, I appreciate you, bro, for the 5 members, and on behalf of them, thank you, Lazy. See that? They're all saying thank you, bro. So I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the channel, especially my members. I do appreciate you guys even more. Thank you, guys. Be safe out there, and I'll see each and every one of you guys in the Discord if you need me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, guys? Thank you again. Cheers.